Tomorrow marks 1 year since the mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church. The tragedy sparked a movement to change gun laws at the Minnesota State Capitol this year, led by some Annunciation families. But it didn't make it to the finish line. So where do those families go from here? Danny joins us with the answer.
Well, Kent, I sat down with two parents from the Annunciation Light Alliance who helped lead those efforts at the Capitol this year. While they recognize this is a complex issue with good faith actors on both sides of the aisle, they say they're never going to stop pushing for the changes that they want to see.
Say what you want to say.
Over the last year, Annunciation families have been a constant presence at the Capitol, led by Brittany Haig.
My 6-year-old son, David, was shot at school.
And Dan Manshon.
It's not something any of us asked for.
Both have children who survived the shooting.
We're parents. We're here to advocate for our kids.
As they reflect on their work at the Capitol this year, Dan and Brittany have mixed feelings.
I think it's a feeling of like unfinished business.
This session, the Annunciation Light Alliance helped craft a comprehensive gun violence prevention package that included several gun restrictions, such as a ban on assault weapon sales, along with school safety measures and research funding.
We don't need one piece, we need all of the pieces in order for this to work as best as possible.
After months of tough conversations, the bill passed the Senate by a single vote, thanks to support from 3 key Democrats in swing districts.
If I can do it,
including northern Minnesota's Grant Hochschild,
then you should too.
That was the first step.
Everyone told us, measure your expectations. This will never pass the Senate. And it did.
When the bill reached the tied House, though, Republican leadership refused to bring the Senate version to the floor, leading to a Democratic sit-in.
Do you happen to know where it is? Is it in a drawer? Is it in a locked safe?
I'm currently unaware of the location. I know it is not at the desk.
Speaker Lisa Damuth says she didn't bring the bill to the floor because similar legislation had already failed during the House's committee process. Republicans called the proposed gun restrictions ineffective and unconstitutional.
They fell on a party line vote in the committee.
Now the Republican nominee for governor, Damuth faced another question about her response to Annunciation on the campaign trail this week.
That is an absolute tragedy. Our state is still feeling that. What I will say, the things that we did this last legislative session mattered very much.
Despite no movement on gun restrictions, lawmakers did approve bipartisan legislation for school behavioral health grants to identify early warning signs and establish anonymous threat reporting lines in schools. The Annunciation families say they won't rest, though, until there's action on guns.
What surprised me is that there's probably more common ground on protecting kids than I would have expected just from the outside looking in. Putting our head in the sand and not being willing to have hard discussions is not an answer, and we're going to persevere and keep pursuing this.
I want to emphasize again that the Annunciation Light Alliance considers itself a nonpartisan group. However, the reality is gun restrictions and the assault weapons ban that was proposed is unlikely to move forward unless Democrats win back full control of the legislature this November.
So does that mean, them being nonpartisan, that is, Danny, that they will not be involved with campaigning during the election or endorsing anyone?
Yes, that's what it sounds like talking to Brittany and Dan. It sounds like they've even kind of, paused a little bit of their activity during campaign season, not to be seen as advocating for a certain party. Still holding community meetings, though, and certainly pressuring lawmakers to see the change that they want.
All right. Thanks, Danny.